It's episode 331 of The Platformers. I am your host. Oh, wait, hold on.
Wow.
A show about games
That's
and nerd
high.
culture. I am your host, Brian Barnett, and I kill 99% of germs.
I am aging before your very eyes, Kris Cornelisse.
Hi, I'm Will Berger, and I'm normal.
I was hoping against hope that you were saying that you were going to say, I'm Will Berger and I'm taking responsibility.
I already took responsibility.
That's true.
You
That's
are
true.
new to this whole thing.
That's
Listen,
true, you
I've
did.
been a
Yeah.
mouthwash evangelist, me and Thomas isn't here tonight, so I'm gonna plug him because he can't plug himself.
Whoa,
We've
whoa,
been
whoa.
mouthwash evangelists
Yeah.
on this show,
Yeah.
and you did not have to make it sound that way. You know,
I did not. But
The
I
word
did.
was plug, not peg. It's okay.
Yeah. You know, listen, I'm not saying that I wanted to fill up the hole left by Thomas on this show, but
Holes
You
were
know.
filled, you
But
could
there
say.
it is. There it is.
listen,
Plug.
you know, I just
Not peg. Important difference.
yes, and we're strangely British for some reason.
I mean, I'm Australian, so
Yeah, you're
Close
diet
it. Yeah,
British.
and I grew up
diet British.
partly in Singapore, which used to be a British colony. So we're like 50% British by volume.
I gotta say,
That's-
diet British actually does tickle me. Yeah.
I mean, that's
I
what you
gotta
are.
get-
You're diet British.
You're
right? It's
right.
like-
You're absolutely
it's like
right.
Great
But
value British, right?
Yeah.
Like 50% less filling tastes great. Yeah.
Yeah.
now we have 98% more curse words.
Australian. Wait, hold on. Australian. British for. Fuck. I was making a Foster's joke. Anyways, never mind.
British for fuck. Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Whatever.
Australi-On apply directly to the British.
You know, I had my British removed a couple of years ago. It was a painless procedure. Anyway,
That's
we should be
good.
Talking about another man's British. Anyway.
I think that's for every man to decide for himself. Oh my
Anyway,
god.
now that we have subjected our poor listeners to a bunch of crap, shall
to
we
a
get on
bunch
with
of
the show?
rubbish. Yeah, we should talk about we
Yeah.
should talk about some games. So
A bunch of rubbish. See, you couldn't even stop.
what?
Rubbish.
Being British.
It's fucking British, bro.
Oh.
The word
Wait,
rubbish.
hold on, Will. Did you say it's British, bruv? Because that's what it
No.
sounded like.
Well, no, but I'm so tickled that you can't stop thinking about the British that you imagined that I did. So no, but yes,
The
How many
British
times
Empire
a week
is my
do you
Roman
think about
Empire.
the British Empire? Yeah, there you go.
the sun never sets on the British Empire on the Platformers podcast.
Yeah.
Anyway, shall we actually talk about the thing that we're allegedly here to talk about?
Yes.
I don't know. We could keep shit talking a bit more, but yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. I have a problem. And the problem is I didn't get that much sleep and I'm fried. I've been sitting in front of this computer all day. And there was people, so you can't, so you may have noticed, viewers and my beloved co-hosts, that there's a new like angle on my video feed. And that's because we've been having some construction work done by contractors at our house. And they were here for like 10 hours yesterday and like 8 hours today, and they're going to be here for a few hours tomorrow. So it's been a lot. Oh, also Mumjum, welcome back to the chat. It's been a while since you've joined us. He says, following modern trends, British Zero. Yes, of course. Made with artificial sweeteners, which is why Kris has those lovely dimples that you can't really make out because of the beard.
We live in hell.
Really.
I mean, if any of us live in hell, Kris does, because they got all kinds of they got chlamydia.
It is
bears down
deep
there.
south. Everything is dangerous and wants to kill you. Also, summer officially started yesterday, and it is rapidly climbing into the 30s Celsius, and it will only continue to get hotter.
Yeah.
That is not a real temperature.
Yeah. Also, you got to watch out for the.
Yeah,
drop
I'm
bears.
sorry. Sorry, I don't want to translate to imperial for the British
Yeah.
among you.
Yeah. What temperature did you say it was?
You open yourself up to this much.
30
man.
something or 30?
Over 30. I'm
Over
not sure
30.
what it
So
is
like that's
right now,
like
but yeah.
90s, 100 roundabouts.
Yeah.
I can be I'll be the translator.
38 is 98.6, give or take. Episode 37. One of
Fucking
those.
hot. Fucking hot ass shit.
Yeah,
But
9/5 Celsius plus 32 equal F.
You know, it was fucking hot is the opening to a really great Keith Ridgway short story.
nice.
Good book, read it.
Unfortunately,
real
as you
book
can
corner
as you
for
can
the day.
tell by my tank top, it's also still fucking hot here in Texas. It's awful. Awful.
Not a real state.
Not a real state. It's fake. It's fake. It's not real.
I
Anyways.
wish Texas was faked.
Finland is more real than
God, dude,
Texas.
can you imagine if I actually just lived in an imaginary place instead? That would be so much better. Because then I could just go outside with a magic paintbrush and just like paint a bunch of icicles on everything, and then it would just become cold.
You'd also probably have like a working power grid.
That's true.
Yeah. You just apply white paint to Ted Cruz and just remove him.
Yeah. That would be
Man,
great.
the new Epic Mickey sequel was wild.
I just paint like a black circle under where he's standing. He just like falls into the abyss. That'd be dope.
Just
Anyway,
Donut County
speaking of
that shit.
video games,
Speaking of video games,
Donut County, there, done.
speaking of, well, yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah, Donut County is good. But speaking of descending into the abyss, let's talk about mouthwashing. It's my turn this
boy.
time. And I've got
Following the trend.
a little something in here that kills 99.
It's not in a mouthwash bottle, though.
This is hey, it's a modified cocktail. Don't worry about it.
Only I had the balls to drink
made-
from the mouthwashing bottle on stream.
I made it in my cake mixer.
listen, what I'm going to tell you is that I don't think the point of mouthwashing is to reenact things that happened during mouthwashing. I'm just
Oh,
gonna
no,
put that out
no.
there.
It's
That maybe
true.
that's not a good idea.
Yeah, it's true.
You know
It's
what?
true.
You might be right. Maybe.
You might
slightly.
be right, but I've been starting to see things lately, and so I'm just gonna listen to whatever impulses that I have in the moment,
The Polly statue
Which-
isn't real. It can't hurt you.
which definitely can't backfire. So yeah. Anyways, we've talked about this several times. Will talked about this on the PAX West episode with Thomas. Kris talked about this last week. I'm just here to kind of round out the consensus. I finished mouthwashing. I actually hold on. Let me open my Steam to see, because I would be gobsmacked if it actually was as short as you guys said. It felt way longer to me. But let me actually-
So
I'll usually feel much longer.
my playtime
That's true.
is listed as shorter than it actually was for whatever reason. Part of my internet died during it, and then Steam's thing got corrupted.
yeah.
So it used to say 3.1 hours, and now it says 2.4, which is
Damn,
not
yeah,
true.
mine says 2.4. That's crazy.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't get it. It felt like it was like 5 or 6 hours, but yes, as Will said, journeys through hell do tend to feel a little long. Watched pot never boils and all that. But anyways, yeah, I'm just here to echo my co-host's sentiments. Mouthwashing is exceptional. It is definitely. I can't just straight up give it game of the year yet. We will see. I need distance, and it also I'm very aware of recency bias, and Balatro, my other front runner, came out a really long time ago. And
But you were literally playing it minutes ago.
Minutes
while
ago
waiting
before
to
the
start
thing.
this podcast.
And I have probably around 1,000 hours in it. And yeah, it's I can't just do that, but I will definitely say it is certainly one of the best games of the year. Absolutely,
It's the best.
positively.
Time and reflection is only making me think more positively of it. Having looked at more takes on it, I watched somebody else play through it and all that, and it's it's only growing in my esteem. So it's going to be very high.
I have not seen anybody else's thoughts on it. I haven't looked at any deep dives or any examinations or anything like that. What I will say is, if I removed a pure gameplay experience from it and we were just looking at writing, story, that sort of a thing, it would be Mouthwashing, and it would be a fucking Freddie Freeman walk-off grand slam. Like it would not be close. Like I will put it this way, there is nothing that I've played this year that is even in the same tier as the writing and atmosphere and story of Mouthwashing. Like that's just a fact. So it literally, if it was not for like
the slot machine,
one of my actually, if it wasn't for the release of my favorite roguelite of all time, that also speaks very powerfully to the nostalgia in me and like family and stuff like that. Like, yeah, it would be Mouthwashing. And it might still be, who knows? We got time. You know, we got like
and a month. We have spots for 2 anyway. When we do it here,
that is true. Although we are going to, we have not talked about this. Actually, I mean, Will and I have talked about this. I haven't talked about this with you, Kris. I am thinking about doing. Will had said that he really liked a Game of the Year format that he used to do on one of his previous podcasts, and I wanted to give that one a spin this year.
We could do that.
So, and it actually becomes like a discussion because there has to be like consensus. So that I feel like that could.
That's what we did at DualShockers as well. We had a Game of the Year for the site overall by batting it back and forth.
Which like we'll get into that as we get closer to the Game of the Year episode and that sort of thing. But yeah, I'm
yeah, we still got half the year. What do you mean it's the end of November?
Yeah. It's pretty crazy how fast this year has gone by. But yeah, it was one of those things where like I think that Will actually floated the idea to me before we did the last Game of the Year episode, and I don't remember that, and I don't remember saying no because when he told me later, I was like, oh, that's a really interesting format. And we just hadn't done it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
That's
I did
on me.
Float it to you. It's fine. It's not a big deal. You know,
we're going to check it out and all that sort of stuff. But regardless, I mean, we're going to be highlighting some really good stuff.
Banger after banger after banger after banger.
To bring it back to the Britishisms, we're gonna have some bangers, and then we're gonna mash.
All killer, no filler, baby.
Don't worry about it. Which, ironically, is actually not as good a Sum 41 album as their original debut, but I digress. There's quite a bit of filler in
all be bangers.
In that all killer, no filler.
I was referring to the phrase, not the Sum 41 album.
I know, but I saw an opportunity, and you know what? I did it. I took it. Oh, fucking shit. Okay. Will, I'm going to diverge, actually, before we get back into games. I'm going to diverge a little bit because you and I had a fucking delightful conversation on the phone the other day. Because I am about to go to Disney World for the first time ever.
Disney World?
Disney World.
And Will used to work at Disney World famously, and I say famously because he took a public shit all over somebody who definitely deserved it and did not know what they were talking about or who they were messing with, which just tickled me pink. But anyways, so we talked a lot about that. We talked about like some really cool stuff that you can see down there, and I decided that it was at last time for my daughter to be initiated to the premier science fantasy franchise the world over. And over the past couple of days, with my 5-year-old daughter, we've been watching the Star Wars films.
Hey.
And we just finished The Empire Strikes Back last night. And I think when we're done with this episode, we're going to go watch Return of the Jedi.
Pretty sick.
Oh, by the way, I'll send you that link, Will. Remind me to do that after the show. To the Blu-rays that I was telling you about. But yeah, that has been just an absolute blast. And it's been fascinating to watch like a 5-year-old cuddle up under the covers at scary moments or be like, oh no, I don't like that. Or, whatever. The funniest thing is she fucking loves the Empire. Like she is just like, she's just like, I'm going to make a game where the Empire are the good guys. And I was like, oh no. I'm like, who's your favorite?
It exists. It's called TIE Fighter. It's excellent.
Well, I was going to say, God, what's that one that the Janina Gavankar. Oh my god, it was like Fire Squad or something like that. Inferno Squad.
Republic Commando.
Republic Commando, yeah.
Was it? Hold on.
I think so.
Republic Commando stars Delta Squad, and yeah,
it's not
that game is awesome. But technically speaking, they're not the Empire.
Battlefront 2 Inferno Squad. Yeah.
Oh right, yeah. Right.
Which is not as good as Republic Commando, for the record.
Damn right.
Yeah, Republic Commando is the one with the clone troopers, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's the 360 game that came out for PC. Yeah. That's a good one.
Xbox.
It's real good. I replayed it like last year. Even.
Yeah, I got a remaster. I want to say last year. This year.
It was funny because
Dark Forces got a remaster this year, which was like the proto Jedi Knight.
I still need to get that because I fucking adore that series. Like Jedi Knight 2,
Same,
Jedi Outcast is like my favorite Star Wars game ever. Period.
Yeah, I would have grabbed it, but it was like slightly higher price than I was expecting. I'm like, I'll come back to you.
I think it's on sale right now, but I might be mistaken.
It'll probably go on sale for Black Friday shit.
Yeah,
probably.
It was interesting because I only came to because I had like I don't think it was on PS3. I think it was 360 only, or was it? I don't remember. For Republic Commando,
it was original Xbox and PC.
Okay, yeah. So that's why I didn't play it because by the time it came out, I think I'd given my dad my Xbox or something like that. I don't know. It was a weird situation, but so I ended up playing Mass Effect 3.
About Mouthwashing?
We are.
Well, we segued. He just wanted to say, yeah.
Digression.
He agrees with us. Mouthwashing good.
I played Mass Effect 3 on Xbox 360 with Kinect before I played Republic Commando. So I had the experience of like giving squad commands and shit in that game first, which is weird because Republic Commando really, apart from like the voice command, does it way better. But
sure does, yeah.
So if you want your fix for that is like the fucking most. Wait, what, Will?
It just makes you wonder how the people who made Republic Commando could have made Halo 5's campaign.
Man.
Or could have made a sequel to Republic Commando where Sev lives.
They did?
No, they didn't, and that's the horrible, sad truth.
That's the problem.
Yeah, it should have. It should have.
Yeah. It's wild. Also,
they did actually pitch like Imperial Commando going into the early days of the Empire, and that would have been awesome, but c'est la vie, did not happen.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, I kind of felt like I was done with Mouthwashing, but we can go back to it if you want to.
No. I was just making a joke. It's fine.
Yeah.
If we did go back, we would have to. I feel like we'd have to, pop the cork on the spoiler cast because at this point we've all played it, and I want to talk more in depth. So, yeah.
Yeah. Which we will do. I mean, I will just put a pin on it. Go play Mouthwashing. Don't read anything about it.
Just go play it.
Watch anything about it.
Just responsibility.
Yeah, the only thing you should read is like the ad copy at the very beginning of like the very basic description.
I don't even think you could do. I don't even think you need to do that because that's covered in the like first 5 minutes of the game.
Yeah,
but
if you're,
I think tonally, I think yeah.
Like Outer Wilds, the less you know, the better.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Which it sucks like doing like a podcast and talking about games that fall under this kind of umbrella because it's like I want to say so many things, but I just have to tell you, like, please go buy it right now. Go play it right now. And then come back.
Again,
and, like,
you can always pop the cork on a spoiler cast one of these days, but that's something we really need to go into ahead of time.
Please go support Wrong Organ.
And I believe I heard that they had a precursor to that, or not a precursor, but like they had another game that was kind of related called like How Fish is Made or something. And I think that game might actually be free. Let me see.
I'll have to look into it.
Yeah, it is. How Fish is Made. And it's got a very similar visual. In fact, there is the third picture, if you're clicking through How the Fish is Made, will have a very recognizable image in it if you've played Mouthwashing.
Well, there's a general belief in a thing called flood subjects, and the idea is that the creatives have certain ideas that they go back to a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that, if you make something like Mouthwashing, like that's definitely not the first time you've tried to do something like that, because it can't be, right? Like that is
You don't
refined.
do something that
Like that,
refined
but not the
right out the
first time.
gate. Yeah.
Unless you do, in which case, if someone listening from Wrong Orange listening to this, like, oh, it's the first time we did anything like that. Like, okay, I'm sorry, I apologize, I was not familiar with your game.
Yeah.
But to me, that seems like definitely something that was like at least a few concepts that they played with before.
Yeah. At least, I mean, at least, you could say if it isn't, then like they came to it with like an expert director's eye. Like, I know exactly the vision that I want for this. I know exactly how I want this to play out, because, well, I really can't say anymore, but, yeah, it is expertly done. You owe it to yourself to play this game. And I'm not going to say anything else about it, because you just need to go play it.
Yep.
Yeah. That's
so,
Mouthwashing.
Other things.
Will, what about your other thing?
Other thing. So about 3 weeks ago now, I got invited to a pop-up store that Limited Run Games is doing in New York City, and I came out having spent way too much money. And
as you do when Limited Run is involved.
Yeah, but I don't regret it. I got a couple of things that are no longer in print. If you give me 1 second, I'll actually pull my favorite acquisition out because I know exactly what it is. But it got me thinking about some stuff. So
Limited Run do good work.
My favorite acquisition, which you cannot get anymore, is the enhanced edition of the Blade Runner Adventure Games. Right? Very nice. I got a couple other things too, but this one was kind of like I didn't get that when it was out, and now I have the opportunity to grab it. So kind of a holy grail, if you will.
That was done by Westwood, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Speaking of Indiana Jones.
So the fun thing about the pop-up for Limited Run was they had a bunch of games that you could just go play, right? That they are either publishing or distributing or whatever. And B, like, I forgot how nice it is to walk around in a store.
Yeah.
When you're looking at games.
Yeah, because
like
fuck GameStop.
Yeah, for real. But like it was like, oh, this is cool. Like I forgot that this came out, and so I bought it. It wasn't that. There was like a Contra game that Limited Run did some distribution on, or published. I can't remember. But I was like, oh yeah, that's really cool. I wanted to pick that up, and it was fun to just see like this expertly like curated, wall of stuff that you could go buy. That you were seeing stuff that was exciting and new and different, and it reminded me of like when I was a kid, when I first had consoles and video game platforms. We didn't buy anything. We rented everything. And so a lot of time was, we're going to go to
Blockbuster or Hollywood Video or Game Crazy or whatever.
Yeah, we're going to go to Blockbuster, and you can pick something off the wall, right? And a lot of my favorite games are games that came off the wall. Like Halo. The first time I played Halo 1 was a game off the wall, because I was the first person in my neighborhood to get an Xbox. And a couple next door that I babysitted their dog for, or dog-sitted rather, their dogs when they would go on vacation, were like, hey, like, we used to use this to watch DVDs. We don't really need it anymore. We wanted to give it to you as like a thank you. So then it was like, oh, well, maybe I should go get an Xbox game, right? So got Halo, of course, played it all night. Like,
as you do.
With my best friends, yeah. Nights 1 was a GameStop thing. Like the very first time I played, Rogue Squadron back in the day was Blockbuster.
Good one.
Like so much of the Ocarina of Time, so many of the games, Pokemon Stadium, that became like foundational to me as a kid, were because I saw them on a wall at my local Blockbuster, which is now a mattress store. And
they're everywhere. They're everywhere.
Yeah, the building is still there. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Let me try it, right? And I think walking around, the Limited Run Games pop-up thing, I had that kind of similar feeling. Now, obviously, it's not as diverse because Limited Run is just one publisher, right?
Yeah.
One distributor. They can't do everything. But I was reminded of how special it was just to be in a place where it was like, look at all these cool things, right? That are like clear celebrations and I don't want to say love letter because it's a cliche, but like clearly celebrations of the medium, right? And like born out of love for the medium. And someone somewhere was like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we brought this back or if this got a physical release? And the other thing that made it really cool was what they had that you could play. And they had a bunch of games that you could play. Just little boosts. And the one that stuck out to me was a game called Ghost, which is a first-person horror game. And I didn't know anything about it, but a friend of mine was like, "Will, you gotta go see Ghost, right?" And this is not the game that I think is on Steam. If you look up Ghost, so I'm trying to look this up right now.
I'll look
Ghost.
it up. You just keep talking.
It's Ghosts with an S.
Yeah, my first thought was Geist for whatever reason. That game on the GameCube era, but yeah, no one thinks of Geist like that.
Anyway, it was maybe I'm misremembering the name of the game. Anyway, it's this first-person horror game. It's very cool. You start as off in a van, and you are like monitoring this area for other people, and then weird things start happening. And it's very, very cool. And yeah, I can't say enough good things about it. I really enjoyed playing it. And when the demo ended, I was like, it was one of those demo endings where you're like, I hope the demo ends right here. And then it did. And you're like, yeah, that's good shit. Right? So
and then you're absolutely enthused to go get the full thing right there.
Yeah, I don't think it's I want to make sure I'm giving you guys the right name of this game because it's been a couple weeks and I've had a couple drinks. But I really do think it was very cool. And it was cool to just have like again, those kiosks, you could like go to Walmart or something. And it was like, oh, let me see this cool thing, right? Just because it's there.
Yeah, what is this Super Smash Bros. Game I hear about?
It's Ghosts by Jed Shepard and Cerulean Games and all that sort of stuff, right? Like I just linked to the in the show chat. Is that the one?
I don't think so. I'm trying to find it. Anyway, I will find it.
I will find him.
I will find him. I understand that reference.
Thomas played that one at PAX. He said it was weird. The Ghosts, anyway. So yeah.
Yeah. So it's a weird, neat little game. Ghosts. Yeah, it's Ghosts.
Limited Run Games has mentioned this, so yeah, it would be.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed it. I think it's definitely worth checking out. And yeah, it is a very cool little game. But the big takeaway for me was, man, it was good to be in a place where we could just see stuff.
Yeah. I was gonna say this when you were talking about like games off the wall, like both Borderlands, which was hugely influential in my friend group because I pulled it off the wall, and then BlazBlue, which Will knows is like a core thing. Like that's literally the reason me pulling BlazBlue off the wall is the reason why Will and I are friends. Like without that, I wouldn't.
The first domino.
Yeah, the first domino is you know what it is? The first domino is Arxis and not Mori. I forget the guy who did BlazBlue. Is it Mori?
Mori.
Yeah. Mori decides he's going to give Bang Shishigami a 55-inch nail that he wears on his back is the first domino. The second domino is Brian and Will become friends. Will becomes huge in the games press space.
Yeah. It's very nice.
Fucking
It's
crazy.
true.
It's fucking crazy.
It is pretty wild.
Arxis keeps delivering, right? Am I right?
They make it happen.
They make it happen.
So yeah, I think Ghosts is definitely worth checking out. And I think, if you ever get the chance to go to like a limited run pop-up, please go. You'll have a good time, and it's just cool to see all this stuff. They had these really wonderful little kind of setup. It was a two floor thing, and the bottom was set up like a room from maybe like the late 90s. Super Smash. There was an N64, and you could play Super Smash Brothers, and it had like film posters and stuff from that era. And it was like, oh yeah, like I played a ton of games in places that looked exactly like this, right? And I don't think, and obviously like there's a little bit of nostalgia there, but I think like games are a communal thing at their best. They allow you to build community and make friends and
absolutely
share like your love of something. And I think that's what games can be when they're at their best. And being in that space with all those other people who are just as excited about all the stuff that was there, and seeing all the cool stuff that was there, and seeing stuff that you wouldn't normally remember, right? We talk about like discoverability, being like a big issue on storefronts, where it's really hard to find new things, right? Unless the algorithm is like, we think you'll like, based on,
Yeah.
Well, this is selling very well now. Follow the trend.
Yeah,
and if the algorithm sucks, it like totally destroys your ability to find stuff that would speak to you.
Yes. And being able to just have that, yourself, where you're walking around and like, I literally was like looking at stuff on the wall, and I saw the Blade Runner edition that I showed you guys, and I had literally had to track someone over. I was like, I want to buy that. Is that for sale? Can I buy that? And they're like, yes. But like, something that I had wanted, and I missed the window on it, and like I was like, oh, that's a bummer. I'm kind of like never gonna get a chance to like get the little cool fancy edition. I was like, oh, that's there, right? And then it was like, oh, look at this cool Contra game. Or like, hey man, like here's a physical copy of Animal Well. Like I bought that just because Animal Well is cool, and like I wanted to have it and be able to put it on my shelf. And I'm not saying that everybody should buy physical games just because physical games are great. I think they are, but I do think there's something to be said for going in a store that is well curated and clearly set up by people who, care deeply about the medium and have built this like little environment that celebrates it. And it was one of the most fun little random events that I've been to in a while. I don't even want to call it a press event because other people could go for the 3 days that it was there. But I do think it was a really fantastic thing that Limited Run did. And I hope they will continue to do it. And I hope that people will latch onto it and remember that, they're like part of the best things about playing games is being in a room with other people.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's awesome.
And play Ghosts. Ghosts is cool.
I'll be sure to check it out when it comes out.
Nice. Yeah, I was just like looking around at some things because of various things that people have said. But yeah, I was looking around to like some games that I haven't gotten to yet, and I was looking at Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, and then I looked down in the reasons this might appeal to you, and it's like, would it, similar to games that you've played, Stray and Mouthwashing, and I was like, excuse me. So we're gonna
One, are you sure about that? Two, you have my attention.
Yeah, like it's crazy because on the one hand you're like, I don't know how many other games are like functionally like Mouthwashing, right?
Yeah.
But also like, okay, I guess you have my attention, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem with discoverability in an online store.
Yeah.
Like you can only see so much. Like in an actual store, I remember I met a couple of really cool people that I'm now like Twitter mutuals with, and we have talked about with stuff since, and we were just talking about like, oh, did you play this? Yeah, it's really good. What do you think about, and it like that, it's that moment of shared connection, right? Like to be in a physical space makes that possible. So
yeah, when you walk in and you see the entire wall and it's like there's hundreds of games like within your line of sight, and like that, where can you, on what storefront can you do that still? You like nowhere.
Yeah.
And the thing that is the most frustrating to me is it takes it takes control out of the hands of the player and puts it into the hands of the platform holder. And letting them put their thumbs on the scale it's just not a good idea. You know, the same as like all these monopolies.
That's assuming they
even
like,
do.
They
need to,
yeah.
Because like Steam is notorious for not really putting as much curation in as they should. It's very rare they actually step into it and everything and just let it go. And I mean,
yeah, a lot of it is just there, right? It's like whatever algorithm they're using, you know, to figure out like, oh, you like this, you might also like this based on, right? But like, I think there's something to be said for like handcrafted curation, and it's something that's really disappearing on any platform, right? It's not just Steam. It's also, you know, on Nintendo's storefront. It's on Xbox. It's on PlayStation. It's everywhere, right? Because there's so much stuff coming out, and that's not bad. You know, more stuff is good. More games that people can play is good, but you do need to be able to find stuff and see
and a
stuff.
lot of it can be shovelware, which just drowns out anything that is worth a damn.
Yeah. Right. And so you need a way to like kind of push aside the stuff that I want to call it like separate the wheat from the chaff, because I don't think that's true. I think that almost everything that's made that's art is going to have some appeal to someone and going to be important for something, and every game is somebody's favorite game, right? And but I think like being able to more easily find the stuff that attracts you. I think about the attract screens on arcade cabinets a lot, you know, where they would like play a demo of the game. If you don't know what an attract screen is,
love those.
Yeah, where it's like they would show like, you know, the game being played, right? Like a little pre-rendered demo or a little bit like recorded gameplay. Like this is the game and this is what it's like. And when I was a kid and you'd go into an arcade, you know, maybe you see a machine, you'd be like, I don't know what this is. And so you'd wait for a minute and there would be the attract screen and you'd be like, oh, that looks fun, you know? And
that's how I first played Metal Slug. I saw that and went, yo!
Yeah, that looks great, right? And I think that like seeing a box in a physical space can have that same impact on you, where you can be like, oh, that's really cool art, right? Let me look at the back and see what it is. Oh, that sounds fun, you know? And so I think, like, again, I think that the benefit of something like the pop-up store that Limited Run did is it, especially because Limited Run is doing so much for preservation, just in terms of making stuff available to people.
Yeah.
You know, physically that would not otherwise get physical releases, or bringing back games that, you know, were forgotten or underappreciated. I think, you know, combining that with having a physical space where you can look at it is really like the most natural thing. So anyway, I've talked about this for a long time. I had a great time at the Limited Run pop-up shop. If you ever get the chance to go to one, please go. It's a great time, and you'll find something that just catches your eye that you're like, oh, that, I want to try that, right? And I think that's a special feeling, and I miss it.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
Kris,
I can definitely relate.
Did you want to dip into anything? Just quick.
Well, not particularly. So I have one thing I can talk about real quick. And that is that so in my ongoing effort to, you know, touch on some of the big games of the year, most of them are RPGs, most of them are too goddamn long, most of them I'm chipping away at. So I'm still chipping away at Metaphor, I'm still chipping away at Romancing Saga 2. But adding a new one to the will chip away at over time is Dragon's Dogma 2. Waiting to hear, you know, Timo yell for joy from Germany.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've started playing that, and I'm only a few hours in. And I can't really weigh in on it a lot, and I don't have a huge amount of experience with the first game. I played maybe half a dozen to a dozen hours and kind of went, it's all right, and then dropped off it.
Yeah.
2, the premise so far is interesting in how it's being set up. The pawn system was always, even in the original, and remains really cool. Just the idea of, you know, creating a character and then sending him off into the ether and then trading them with other people for certain quests and basically, you know, helping out in terms of cooperation and such. It's like, has his pawn gone on this particular quest? Well, it will know a few things and be able to help you if you take them along for that quest. They go, I know where this is, and point you in certain ways, or point out treasure chests and such. It's an interesting concept, and, you know, encourages you to actually, you know, take these pawns, run them places, do quests for them, send them back with gifts and whatever. And yeah, it's a neat little concept. Always has been.
It's an interesting hybridization between like Pokemon trading in those games and like the Nemesis system, where it's like
kind of, yeah,
you do have these characters that are going back and forth, and they like I can't imagine how weird it must have been to program those things with all those trigger points. But like, I mean, kudos to them, because that is like one of the unique things about that I'd always...
I think that's the most unique thing that stood out even in the original Dragon's Dogma, which was, I've heard it described as probably the best 7 out of 10 to ever exist.
Yeah. The big thing that people used to sell me on Dragon's Dogma was, I mean, you guys both know I'm a huge, like, if there is a magic casting class in a game, that's what I'm playing. And somebody was like, have you ever, I mean, you must be a huge Dragon's Dogma fan, because the magic system is totally different than basically anything else. That's the way that it was pitched to me. But yeah, those two things were really it. But yeah, I'm interested to see. So do you, how far are you into number 2?
So playtime is about 3.5 hours. I dabbled in the first like beginning area, did some side quests and whatever, and I just got to the capital.
Okay.
So I assume like I figured that was a good dropping off point for now. Like more of the plot has just been revealed. There's a certain thing going on, and it's like, yep, cool. I will dabble in this a bit later when I get the chance. And so that's where I've left off for now.
Okay, so you are planning on going back to it and playing a little bit more.
I do intend to, yeah. It didn't like leave such a... So I won't say it left such a great impression that I'm like, yes, I can't wait to play absolutely more of this, but it didn't leave a bad one at all. It's like, yeah, I definitely want to play more of this. So just, so far intrigued, want to see more. We'll see how it goes.
Nice. Where does that in the action RPGs that you've been diving into, where does it kind of like stack up so far versus your other like kind of big favorites? I'm just curious.
Well, it actually has good combat. It's still early days, of course, but I am playing a warrior character, so there's at least enough, you got your basic combat combos, you have stamina, which, it's not as restrictive as like your Elden Ring or whatever, and but you still use it to, use your abilities and such, and it just regenerates over time. The ability to pick up and throw enemies and objects and such is good fun. It's so far it's interesting. I'm probably not far enough or haven't dabbled enough in different classes, vocations, etc. yet, but yeah, still too early to really tell. But like, it has more going on than your Skyrims or whatever.
Well,
just trying to think of exact.
No, I was gonna say in the background you can see my wife.
Yeah.
Hello, Kira.
I don't know if you heard her, but she said hi.
Yeah,
I heard. Yeah.
Is Jake flopping around someplace?
Jake is right there. You can't see him, but he's on the couch.
He's on the couch.
Next to the red blanket, which is like his favorite thing in the world.
The beloved golden boy.
And he is going to get drugs in about 8 hours.
Nice.
Fun times. Also, you hope. But yeah, not a lot to... I said fun times, also you hope.
Yeah.
But yeah, not a lot to say on Dragon's Dogma yet. I'm starting it. I will play more of it. The pawn system was and always has been cool. That alone is worth noting. And yeah, the combat seems like it has actual, heft and weight and everything to it. So it doesn't grab me as much as like something like Monster Hunter does right out the gate. It's not anything like Devil May Cry or whatever, and it's not trying to be. It's much slower, more methodical and such. But yeah, definitely interesting stuff. I'm probably gonna have to swap to Mage at some point and dabble in this much vaunted magic system, because everyone talks that up.
I find it really, really hard to engage with, just because it's so different, and because a lot of the I found the difficulty curve to be like really high for using it, considering how much damage a lot of the like big early encounters did. Like, I don't know if you found that camp where like the giant snake like ambushes you or whatever.
That's the tutorial. That happens immediately.
Yeah, but it's like, then they're like, okay, yeah, survive. And it's like, that's not super easy as a mage. But yeah, it's interesting.
My Shadow of the Colossus experience kicked in and I just climbed that fucker. So yes.
Nice. Mom Jum in the chat says, did Brian finish his story about going to Disney World? I can't tell if the show's ADHD is off the charts tonight or if it's just my ADHD and I missed it.
Yes, is the answer.
Yes.
To not do the ADHD question, but yeah, you're going to Disney World.
Yes, I am going to Disney World, and I mainly
that led into Star Wars, didn't it?
It led into Star Wars because we're going to be going to some Star Wars stuff there. I think I'm going to be building a lightsaber. I'm going to take Riley with me when I do it. She has really vibed with C-3PO just visually, just based on stuff that I have around. And so I was just kind of thinking, is she old enough to see this before we like actually go and spend time in a Star Wars themed place? And I'm like, it's probably fine. We skipped the scene.
She likes the Empire. She's going to see all the stormtroopers and be like, yeah.
She's going to be, she loves it. She loves it. But yeah, we skipped the part where Luke goes back home in the first movie. But she's seen everything else. So far.
Yeah. And the like you're picking the best time to go, because if you'd gone a few years ago, like that stuff wouldn't have been there, right? Like Rise of the Resistance, the Millennium Falcon ride, Star Tours has been there forever, but that stuff is new, and like Star Wars having its own land in Hollywood Studios is new, so it's cool to go as someone who has friends who worked opening teams for those attractions. I'm very excited for you to go. I have never actually gone on them myself, but I hear very good things, so you'll have to tell me how they are, because I haven't been.
I certainly will.
For a while.
I'm excited. Yeah. I'm excited, but yes, thank you, Mom Jump, for bringing that back up, because that was a bit of a, when I get really, really tired, my ADHD gets worse. But anyways, that's enough talk about that sort of stuff. We just got one more thing to talk about before we sign off for this evening, and that is Dragon Age: The Veilguard, which
this is something I've definitely wanted to hear about, because I didn't play it despite, kind of prepping for it. And I've seen some stuff on it that makes me go, I don't think I'm going to like this game.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to hear what you have to say, because I've seen plenty of other people in our circle like talk it up.
Yeah.
There's a few points that have like, and then there's a couple. Yeah, the discourse is around, and even when you filter out, the woke shit, then
yes.
Yeah.
Kris, you're not concerned about the DEI Chin?
No,
DEI
surprisingly.
Chin.
Because it doesn't matter. Because it will never matter.
It doesn't matter. It's silly. I'm making a joke.
It's very silly. It's very silly. But yeah, so yeah. I've heard some concerns over, cramming a lot of stuff into this game unnecessarily. I will say I am almost 5 hours in. I've been playing it on Steam Deck. Took a while of fiddling before I could actually get some settings that ran well and looked pretty good. But I'm like 85% of the way there right now. I will say, to preface this, my bona fides are I've played every Dragon Age game except 2, which is funny because the people that I talked to,
missing much.
The people I talked to about that were saying that the Veilguard is actually the most similar to 2, which is interesting.
Oh no.
So I will say
remake Dragon Age 2 because it needs a goddamn remake, because it's got good ideas but poor execution.
Yeah.
I said it in the past, I'm saying it again.
I came to Dragon Age specifically because it was branded as a spiritual successor to Baldur's Gate.
Same, and I felt that was a complete lie.
Yes. Now, I will also say I have heard it was not as much of a lie if you played the game on PC, but I didn't. I played it on console.
I did, and it does have that going for it, but it's been a long time since I felt that, but yes.
Yeah.
Origins is fine, but it didn't click for me.
The first Dragon Age, I liked the characters, and I saw what they were doing, and I appreciated it. I have not felt like any of them really touched that vibe as well as the first one did, with the focus on the Grey Wardens and the Darkspawn. And I feel like more times revisiting this world, because the titular Dragon Age is supposed to be like a big thing that doesn't happen that often. And yet there are characters from Inquisition and this game that are in both, and that are from 2 that are also in this. So it's like, and that are from 1 in this. So there have been 4 games where there are characters that keep showing up in a dragon age of sorts, or in a time when there is like an archdragon or what have you, or there is darkspawn, and it's like, well, that's kind of like not what this was supposed to be. So beyond like that, like very nerdy complaint,
I mean, I can cut you off and be even nerdier, in that the Dragon Age does not refer to the Blight, and that's a different thing. Dragon Age is a point in their history. It's like the 9th age or whatever in recorded history, which goes however many centuries. But it just so happens that during the Dragon Age, the 5th Blight or whatever that happens in the first game happened, and that is unrelated.
Okay.
So
I thought it was like a
continue.
different. Okay, never mind. Okay, it's been too long since I freaking played that first game. But anyways, I appreciate the correction.
You're welcome.
So I've had different things that I've liked about different games. I actually did like Dragon Age Inquisition. The year that it came out, it actually won Game of the Year from some outlets, which I thought was insane. Like, I definitely did not agree with that. But I also did enjoy it. I thought that the focus on like the examination of lyrium and red lyrium, like I thought that was interesting. I thought Corypheus was an interesting character. I thought it
was pretty neat. Yeah.
I really got close to Solus in that story. He was like one of my closest friends, which is why the transition from that into Dreadwolf into the Veilguard was like, I was really excited for, because the reveals that take place towards the end of Inquisition were like really interesting to me. And I was
pretty much the last moment of that game prior to DLC.
Yeah.
It was like, what?
I was like,
what?
Wait, what? I cannot wait to see what happens next. And so this has been, I mean, this game was originally Dragon Age Dreadwolf. But they changed the name, which is a fucking travesty, because the Veilguard sounds so much less cool than Dreadwolf. And it's
But it's also more apt because it's...
I was going to say, it's still about the Dreadwolf. So it's like, I don't...
But he's not the primary focus now, is the thing.
Yeah. Which is fine, I guess. It just sounded cool.
Dreadwolf is just so much of a better name, though.
Yes.
I agree.
Yes, it really is.
But yeah, so one of the things that really bugged me about Inquisition, though, because as we've said before, I play magic characters, is in Inquisition, basically all you did when you weren't like using your limited resources to cast spells was you just hold the A button. And that was it. It was
that's true of every class, unfortunately.
Boring.
It gets very dull.
Yeah.
In between a lot of, you set up your abilities and like, cool. Now I'm just going to spend, 10 seconds doing nothing while I wait for cooldown.
Yeah. Mm. But it was also a game where you would do these kind of realish time combat sections where you were basically just mashing one button or holding that button, and that was it. And then you would enter into, okay, now I'm going to cast this spell. Now it pauses the game, it zooms out, and I can target it. And then it starts to kind of channel the Baldur's Gate that it's supposedly the spiritual successor to. But there was whether you had a pause button or not was like kind of ambiguous, or like not really like one. They had like one, they were straddling the fence with one foot on either side, not really committing to either. Now in this game, it is straight up real time. And you have, as a mage, you have 2 weapon sets out of the jump, and they play differently. You have your traditional staff magic thing where you hit 3 times, and you will you can charge those by holding them, and they will do more damage, but they will leave you open to like reprisals from enemies. And you also have a secondary ability, which does like an energy wave that goes out in like a cone in front of you. And then your secondary weapon is a dagger and an orb, and you'll use
orb.
Sorry. We're gonna ponder the orb. But I'm just disappointed it wasn't a cube, because that would have been so much better.
Cube.
But But anyways, so your character has a dagger in their right hand, and in their left hand they have this orb, and they telekinetically move it around and like kind of shoot it out in front of them and then pull it back. And as you hit enemies with it, it adds a little bit of damage. It adds a little bit of damage, and then the third time, the damage switches into an affliction that sticks on them called an arcane bomb. And if you slice them with the dagger after that, they explode and do AoE damage. So there's a lot more of a like kind of World of Warcraft almost rogue type of, I'm building combat points, I'm spending those combat points on that, and your
builder
dagger,
spender.
Your dagger slash has a big arcing swipe, so you can hit multiple people with that anyways. And you've got a single dash, which just kind of like dashes you, a little bit away. And then you have if you double tap it, you'll do like a short range teleport in a particular direction. And this game has a like sphere grid, basically, where you can get abilities that will modify that. So like I just got like a dashing strike, where when I do my little teleport, I can do either the like triangle or the square button and get different moves out of those. So you can expand those sorts of things. There's also like as I'm picking up different, like you can pick up different orbs. You start with an ice orb, and then I picked up a necrotic orb, and there's other little things that are around my area that I can get skills for, which are if you use necrotic and fire damage, using each one will buff the damage done by the other for the next 10 seconds. So they're playing with like, okay, you can lean into this type of damage thing. Oh, what if they have clean hit stuff, Will. There's a dagger thing where you can charge your downwards dagger strike, and if you release it like just frame right when it's fully charged but not afterwards, you do like way more damage. That's another skill point that you can get.
Clean hit, you say?
Yeah. So, and I will say, like we'll get into the writing in a bit, but just looking at it from a combat perspective, I'm having more fun than I have before. Like it feels like a different type of game, in a way that I find enjoyable. The enemies are like aggressive. I don't have tons of health. You have your companions that have like very small skill trees where it's like, okay, they've got like 4 really small ones. And they basically, you'll have to choose between, you'll be able to buff like one of their main abilities, and then you'll choose one of 2 upgrades, I think 3 times along each of the paths. So it'll be like, you can upgrade it to one of your companions has a heal, and it's like, okay, their heal has a way faster cooldown, but it doesn't do as much. The other one is it has a longer cooldown, but it does more healing. The other one is,
this feels like the Diablo 4 mercenaries, honestly.
Kind of. The one of them is like they heal you 50% more when you're lower than half health, or then the other one is like when they heal you, they'll have like a little heal over time that adds to you. Like you have to choose like where you want them to go and what sort of a companion that you want them to be. And that
you're just describing Rhaegar's talents in Heroes of the Storm, and now I want to play Heroes of the Storm. God damn it.
Yeah. But yeah, so I've played the first couple of bits. I put this out on Blue Sky, but like I've heard it said that audiences generally want to feel smarter than the protagonists for whatever movie or whatever they're watching. I'm the exact opposite. I am really annoyed when the protagonist isn't as smart as I am, because I'm just like, this is the obvious answer. And then not only does the main character not do that, there's no option for me to like put my thumb on the scale, and then they do like the opposite thing and screw everything up. And it's like, okay, I guess I'm just going to spend the entire game making up for the mistakes that I would not have made if I was in this world. But whatever.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you.
I find that like shit really obnoxious, but that is
yeah.
The inciting incident of this game is something that I would not have done if I was in charge. Some of that is because I know who these characters are, and like you know,
you're more genre savvy than the average protagonist.
It straight up comes to like, I'm more Solas savvy. Like I'm not
that too.
Like, yeah, I know this guy. Like, anyways, but I like the new characters. This is definitely a oops, everybody's beautiful type of game. But apart from the writing being just kind of generally boilerplate, I haven't really seen anything egregious. I'm like 4.7 hours in. I just experienced the first thing that I've heard somebody else complain about, which is everybody gets along too much. And it's literally just like a moment where somebody's beating themselves up because they made a mistake. And the other people are like, no, you're great. Like, and I should have gone the other way, but I chose the option that was like, hey, like we all fucked up. Like it's fine. This is not on you. Like we all did this, you know, which is like the conciliatory, appropriately for me, this is the conciliatory response. I should have gone like, yeah, maybe you should have like done something differently. And then I could have gotten into maybe more of the conflict. I'll try to do that in the future so that I can like kind of look at the other side of things. But
my understanding is even if you do, it's very light, it's very tame.
Yeah.
And that like,
considering the dire situation the characters are in, it feels a little weird. But
yeah, so again, I haven't played Veilguard myself yet. I can only weigh in on examples I've seen and all of that and contrast it to games I have played. The issue I think that seems to be, you know, what comes up is how much cringe can you handle in the dialogue? There may be a case of it just gets really cringy because everyone is happy. It's kind of PG-13 compared to earlier games and such, especially like
crazy, and it can the first game is like all kinds of fucked up.
Yes.
Yeah, the whole series is really, but the first game especially. But yeah, like a lot of it is just so much of it.
Demon possessed this guy's son. And you had to decide between killing his wife and killing his kid or whatever. I forget if that was exactly the choice.
So as I understand it, there is a character in Veilguard who is in a situation similar to what Anders was in with, you know, demon possession and such.
Okay.
And Anders, you know, you can call him the fuck out for it. Rightly so, given what happens. Fuck Anders, all my homies hate Anders. But, you know, that was an option of, you know, of disown, of disavow, and go, yeah, no, what the fuck are you doing? You're an idiot. Don't do that. As well as, you know, play in and placate and everything like that.
There's several versions of that in the first game as well.
Yeah. But I think so much of it in Veilguard sounds to me like it's placation. Even the things that, you know, like the dialogue description will give you, you know, something it's like much harsher or whatever. And then when it actually comes out, it's not harsh at all, or even entirely, you know, flipped around.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's like, so yeah, and I've seen quite a few examples of this throughout the game, and just ultimately it's like, the end of the day, it has no teeth in terms of how the characters in your party are portrayed and how they interact. There will be no conflict in your party. No matter how much you push it, you will never get something on the lines of, you know, the scene with Cassandra and Varric in Inquisition, where, you know, he reveals, actually, I know where Hawk is. And she's like, you motherfucker, I've been chasing after him for a game and a half.
Yeah.
And just lays in, and, you know, that is a great scene. Both in
Crazy
both
enough,
how the characters
I saw that
react.
scene like 2 days ago.
It comes up a lot.
Because I think it
comes up a lot.
No, in the game. Like I downloaded Inquisition on my Xbox. Because I was like, I didn't remember what I did in the story or like who I was with and stuff like that. And because you have the option to set that up at the beginning of Veilguard, I like opened it back up. And I didn't realize I was actually opening up my second save. And I was like, I need to go find Cassandra. She's over here. And I walked in and it was that scene that she was doing with Varric. I was like, oh shit. Like I just walked into this. This is great.
Yeah, well, you've just seen the perfect example then, because yeah, that is a great scene. It portrays both characters really well. She's pissed. Rightfully. He's defensive, rightfully.
Yeah.
Neither are right or wrong in that situation.
They're both justified.
And intentions are really high. And that's great. There is conflict. You can choose either side or both or neither.
Yeah.
and they will, resolve and grow from it regardless in their own way. And everything I've heard about Veilguard says that's completely absent in the party. And so whatever else you have to say,
I'll definitely
keep me posted
more
on
that because to me it's a situation where like I'm playing both this and Metaphor on my Steam Deck right now, and I like both for very different reasons. Like I like Metaphor for like what the subject matter and what it's tackling, and like the turn-based, like really high stakes stuff. Dragon Age is just kind of like, I'm just gonna run around and just do some fun combat, and that's basically it. Like I don't really care about what, like I want to see what's happening in like the greater story, but like the moment to moment isn't really speaking to me yet. I did experience. Before I forget, I did want to say you were talking about things sounding harsher in the menu selection and then being softer when you click them. I actually had the opposite experience on an option like last night, where I picked something that sounded like just generally kind of softly inquisitive, and it came off as fucking really passive aggressive. And I was like, oh shit, if I would have known it was like that, I wouldn't have done that. But like, okay, like that's fine. So it's not universally that way, but I will definitely skew further in that direction to just kind of see how it goes. And I'll keep you guys posted as I continue playing.
For sure. Yeah.
Please do.
But obviously, I hope it's good. I hope you enjoy it. And I hope what I've heard is, mostly things that can be dismissed. But yeah. But I've seen enough examples to know the reason I didn't pick it up at launch. I saw, a reviewer that I trust and went into examples of things over, and it had enough things. I'm just like, oh man, I can't do this.
Let me see.
Like conflict is kind of important to storytelling and character development and such, because if there is none, if everyone just plays along, gets along, everything like that, then nothing changes, nothing grows, and it all just becomes very stale.
Holy shit.
Like, I would want my friends in real life and everything to get along reasonably well, sure, but we still banter, we still crack jokes and things like that.
Yeah.
And there will still be conflicts that we can hopefully resolve. I would want to see that better reflected, and that does get better reflected in other games, even, both in the series and without. Like, there's things like that in Baldur's Gate 3, for example. And and I've just heard it's not really there in Veilguard, and it's all just kind of happy and safe, and we are a, close-knit group and family and everything. And it's like, I think that's leaning a bit too hard in the toxic positivity kind of way,
So
but
I was very curious. So I looked up how long Dragon Age the Veilguard is, and the main story
is about 40-50 hours.
The main story is 23 hours.
Huh,
and
that's not uncommon for a BioWare RPG.
That's true.
Except, so main and sides is 58, completionist is 73 hours. Dragon Age Inquisition, main story 47 hours, main and sides 87, completionist 129. So
yeah, but if you were doing
there's a lot of filler,
you hate yourself.
Sure.
Yeah,
no,
Inquisition
I know, and
has
I've done
a
a lot
lot
of that stuff,
filler.
and I've done a lot of that stuff. But I'm wondering, because the main story in Dragon Age the Veilguard is literally half the length of Inquisition, I'm wondering if conflict and these sorts of like confrontational interactions are some of the things that hit the cutting room floor when deciding on the length of this game. I can only speculate at this point. I'm really interested to check this out. I'm going to start being antagonistic to people just to see what I can do. Because some of my favorite moments from these sorts of things, we talked about Baldur's Gate. Some of the best things is like when you get somebody like, oh my God, I want to say like Ketheric Thorm, but it's not him. It's the paladin. It starts with K from Baldur's Gate 2.
It's Keldorn.
So like you get Keldorn and Viconia in the same party. Or
I heard
like
this
that.
same example just a day or so ago in this exact context.
Really?
If they are, in a comparison to Veilguard, it's like, here are these two characters that can join your party at the same time in Baldur's Gate 2. Yeah. The end result is that one of them will kill the other. There is no way around it. Yeah. They are irreconcilable. They are way too opposite extreme.
Yeah. And that happens in like, I guess to a lesser extent in like Knights of the Old Republic and stuff. but like you have these characters that are, and I wonder how much of that is a reaction to like the dating simulator type, put a coin in this relationship vending machine until you get to 10 and then you have sex. And then like, oh, this person is evil, but if you're nice to them enough times, they'll go and be good on that thing. I wonder if this is like an overcorrection of that, where it's just like, this person is always evil. Because like there's been a lot of stuff that's been written about like, you know, Tolkien and other people who have kind of taken his structure of like orcs and elves and these sorts of things. And are there good goblins? And are there these sorts of things? And I don't know. I'm getting a little navel gazing.
That is
right now, but
that is definitely something that comes up a lot in fantasy or whatever. It's just, you know, are certain species and creatures or whatever typecast in ways that are just massively unflattering and everything because of past sentiment. And people are exploring that now, and we may be overcorrecting too much because if you're going to take all the teeth out of everything, then it's just going to be dull. Yeah, it's just how it is.
Yeah, I'm interested, and it is.
Imagine Mouthwashing, where everyone got along.
It wouldn't be a game.
The defining interactions of that story would not happen.
Yeah,
exactly.
Which, by the way, we need to. Ah, god damn it! I can't really talk about this because if we do a spoiler cast, then I'm going to take all the gas out of my tank, and I don't want to do that. So we'll have to decide for sure very soon whether we're going to do a spoiler cast or not. But anyways, I don't want to talk too much about Dragon Age now because I still have a lot more to get
early days,
in it. But yeah, I like it so far. I really am enjoying it. It's been a really fun one to have on my Steam Deck, and just when I've got like 10-15 minutes on a break, just run around, slash things with my dagger and throw orb. You know, sometimes you just got to throw orb, you know what I mean?
Sometimes you just got to throw orb.
Good old orb, nothing beats it. All right, guys, let's get out of here.
Good place to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Place to wrap it up.
Thank you all for joining us for this episode of The Platformers, a show that takes place in the liminal space between awake and asleep. Now I'm going to go downstairs.
Not inaccurate.
And make some popcorn and watch Return of the Jedi. If you like the show, tell somebody about it or leave a review, whatever you want to do. We love talking to all of you, so come join us. I'm on Blue Sky and backlogged at Brian Barnett, Brian with an I, Barnett with 2 T's, and on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube at Ribnax, Ribnax. We stream episodes live on Twitch, generally on Monday nights at 7 p.m. Central Time, although sometimes that'll shift around. Make sure to follow or subscribe to us on Twitch to get those notifications. And then I store the VODs on YouTube later, where you can check that all out. I'm writing a bunch of deals posts for IGN right now for Black Friday. So if you want to get some really good... I think it's probably still available. Tekken 8 is like $30 right now. So go buy it. It's really fucking good.
Off I go.
Best fighting games out there right now.
Off I fucking go.
Dude, writing about it, I was like, dude, I need to fucking hit somebody with a down forward 1, like right now. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
You gotta let them know.
You gotta drop those some motherfuckers are always trying to get dropped into a volcano. Anyways, yeah, and I've got some guides that are up on Kotaku right now, including like some Diablo stuff, some other stuff. I might actually have some other stuff going live soon, but I'm mad busy. Anyways, Kris, where can everybody find you?
Hey, I'm Kris Cornelisse. You can find me around the internet as Delfeir, Delfeir. My website is at versusthebacklog.com. That's vsthebacklog.com. One word. My Deadlock piece that has long been rumored should be going up, hopefully today. I just need more images. So that'll be up there soon, and there's a bunch of other stuff you can read from me there. Other than that, that's about it. Will, how about you?
You can find me on Blue Sky at Edgar Allan Bro. I'm posting primarily there now. You can also find me. It's good. It's much better. It's more engagement, brother. For it's more engagement, fewer followers. We love to fucking see it. You can find me on Blue Sky at Edgar Allan Bro. You can also find me in Backlogged at Edgar Allan Bro. And if you're looking to read something a little more long form that I wrote, I just got a piece that went up at Digital Trends this morning, which is about the Warcraft remasters and how the changes that Blizzard has made to those change the way that those games are and where they stand in kind of the ever shifting nature of the industry. Which I am very proud of and I think is pretty good. So please go read that. I have a couple other things in the works for later in the year, but I can't talk about them right now.
Nice.
Good stuff.
From everybody here at the Platformers, we hope you have a wonderful week and stay safe out there. Because until next time, we are out.
Peace.
Goodbye.